Annie and the Royal Arcade.
It started snowing, Frank, the shop assistant stated to her boss on leaving work for the day. Night then, Sharon, he replied, Frank continuing to cash up, now alone in the drafty antique shop. He gave a quick shudder. He never really liked it when it was quiet in here. Wishing to get home now himself, Frank cashed up with more urgency, momentarily leaving the register just to turn out the rest of the lights in the shops ready for his departure. Now in darkness, the silence around Frank just seemed to intensify even more. But notes accounted for, about to tackle the coins, Frank was distracted with what sound that seemed like a cat, crying like a baby, in obviously displeasure of the snow outside. The sound made his ears instantly prickle, his hearing heightened to an urgency. The shop clocks deafened him when another sound and another cry came across his hearing. Frank pretended it wasn't there as he began to count all the 50 pences he had stocked up for the day. But the crying this time was accompanied by a tapping that demanded his attention. The supposed crying cat was distracting. The tapping, a little disconcerting. But the sudden sound that joined them rooted Frank to the spot. His spine tingled, and he could feel the sweat on his brow. The sound of a woman in distress was unmistakable, and Frank immediately found his feet and ran to the front door of the shop to aid her. He peered up the corridor and looked to the street beyond outside the shop. There was nobody there. Simply people passing by, trying to get out of the snow that continued to fall. A sudden gust of icy wind shot through his entire body, leaving Frank shuddering and staring
Let me in.
out into the snow,
Please let me in.
with tears in his eyes. He found his feet and stumbled back into the shop, slamming the door behind him. There was silence. The ticking clocks, again, the only things he could hear. Frank took a shuddering breath and collected himself. He waited, he listened, but no other sound returned. He decided to leave where he had left his change and locked up for the night. Tonight was a night he would never forget. This haunting is a regular occurrence during the winter months of an antique shop based in Southport. The source of the haunting is that of a story of a girl called Annie, a homeless teenager, and her infant child. Annie and her baby, during the particularly cold winter months, would take refuge with the help of a kindly night watchman of the Royal Arcade, which sat on Lord Street, a boutique and expensive shopping mall. On a particularly cold and severe blizzard night, Annie stood at the locked gates of the arcade walkway and tapped for the attention of her kindly night watchman, who would warm her and feed her, keeping her child safe for another cold, lonely night. But on this night, being more severe and more thick with snow than most, Annie received no reply. Her night watchman had not turned up for work this evening. Urgently tapping as her child began to cry with the pain of the biting frost, Annie slumped herself in the doorway and continued to call to no avail. A thin covering of snow covered this young girl and her poor child as they were found by staff the next morning in a sleep that would never end.